right, guys, we're here on a Valentine's Day morning. So, special edition. If you saw the intro, this is going to be something a little bit new here. So, we are going to, once a month, we're going to take and do at least one podcast / video. It's going to be a kind of a combination of a podcast and a video. I don't really know what it's going to look like yet, but either way, it might just look like what today looks like. But we're going to go kind of behind the scenes of what it takes to kind of run a business like this, issues we have, critiquing ourselves, critiquing customers, really just trying to talk a little bit about what it takes to really run a business like this. Not a lot of people...
and how to help make it better.
Yeah, for sure, because we've struggled over the past 5 years, especially in a small town like Forsyth. We've hit some struggles. So what this is going to be called is just going to be called Behind the Print. And we're just going to dive deep on some subjects, whether it be talking about our pricing and how, we talked about a little bit before the podcast, or starting this one about like our prices here versus like going to Atlanta. Some people come in and they're like, man, $2,000 for a car wrap. And I'm like, have you went to Atlanta? Like, I remember the first time me and you were like, talked to a business up there and they're like, yeah, we're charging like $5,000 for this. I'm like, oh my goodness. Like, we just did one for like $1,500.
Then I look at myself and go, so like, are we like undercutting ourselves, or are they just like severely overcutting?
You obviously have to do it for your market, but that's a whole nother podcast or episode, but we do want to talk about that. And just things such as, how durable, our prints are, and just to show like what the vinyl is capable of, and comparisons of, what shirt is best for your brand, because we get that so much. Like, people come in, it's like, well, what brand should I use? And, most people know the typical Gildan or Gildan.
Well, it's just because that's a lot of what everybody has ever known. I mean, that's about it. They haven't been given any options. But
and if you can see in the camera, I don't know if you can see in those camera views, but, I know you've seen them in other podcasts, obviously the T-shirt rack we have here. And that's kind of like our top, like, 6 brands that we've picked out that are not just, the Gildan is in there, but it's a lot of other shirts to be able to compare those. So just things like that, and we'll show you, like, what it takes to print a shirt, like, dive through the whole process, like, from start to finish, because some people think it's just a matter of hitting print, and it doesn't really work that way. So speaking of just, so this one, we're going to do a little short one. We're not going to go too long on this one, and we're just really wanted this to be an intro, but we are going to talk a little bit about something that's kind of been on our mind this week, and it's really been on our mind. It's kind of like one of the biggest things me and you talk about behind the scenes on a day-to-day basis, and that's kind of like, I would say, logo design. And we're not going to dive in fully because we're going to do a whole dedicated episode on this in the future, but I think Gator does most of the logo design work here. I mean, when he first worked for me, he said he wanted to be the graphic designer, and I don't know if he... I knew what he was getting into. I was smart. So logo design is one of those things where people bring in something, and they expect that, just like I talked about earlier, that you could just hit print. And it doesn't work that way. Yes, we can do that, and that's what 90% of the other shops are doing. And that's why you see so many, grainy looking, pictures and car wraps that look, pretty bad.
What it was to say, a scan of your business card is not a logo.
No, and it's amazing how much of that we get, especially in Forsyth. You get these downtown events. Hey, we're doing the so-and-so downtown event, and here's all our sponsors.
We're sponsoring this.
Yeah, and we get this huge email of all these sponsors from, whoever, and it's like, man, how many of them are just like these, literally, like you said, it's somebody took a picture of a business card, and it's like, you can't
it's
use
not even a good picture of it either.
So we want to talk about that, and I think we'll go more into that on another episode, but the part of it for me is, one thing that aggravates me in this industry, and again, we're not trying to go on a rant, and obviously we have our own issues, but is the fact that, like, people come in and say they're getting a banner, and they're like, oh man, $60 for a banner. Yes, you can go pay $30 online and probably get the same size banner, but you're going to get something cheaper, and you're just uploading your image, and they're going to print exactly what you give them.
You don't get...
And, here...
You don't get criticism on it of making, and where our criticism is to make it better. We're constantly, with me and Patrick both, when we look at something and go, that really needs some work. I don't really want to print that. Let's reach out to the customer and let's
see if it's okay.
Let's see, hey, like, I know if you're on a time crunch and this is what we got to do, then cool. Like, we'll gladly just run it through. But that's not what we want to do, because we want to give you the best possible print, best coloring, and that way you don't have any grain in it. Like, you really want it to be a smooth print, and that's what we're always constantly striving for.
Those companies like that, those big companies online, they could care less for the most part for having a repeat customer over and over. They're trying to get you in the door, get that order, and be done with it.
Quantity over quality.
And here, like, our products are going to be out there. We can't move. We can't hide behind a email. We have a physical location, and when we do something like a car wrap or we do something like a banner, we're here. If something goes wrong, we're right here where somebody's going to come back. And the price of our products, which to me are very fair, but they reflect more than just the product. And I think a lot of people in this, outside of our industry, we see it because we're here every day. But I think outside, there's a little bit of that, oh, why is a banner? It's just a little bit of vinyl, or it's just a couple grommets and something, and y'all just, but it's so much more than that. It's the years that it's taken to make sure that they're going to last the longest, and all the different tapes we've tried, and all the different processes of
all the failures we've had.
I mean, all that adds up, and just the type of printer we use, the type of ink that we use. We really go beyond just giving you a cheap product that, hey, here's a product. So I think that's an important part. And then I guess leading off of that, another little thing we want to talk about, and this is another one we're going to dive into on a future one, but it's just the fact that people really don't know what they want.
Yeah, and that's a battle that we've seemed to face for a while, and it's not, I know this almost sounds like we're like being crybabies about it, but that's not what the purpose of it is. The purpose of it is to let you know, like, hey, like, let's try to all work together and figure out ways to make the process smoother, because everybody wants that quick turnaround time, like hey, I can order it online and have it here in a couple days. Well, yeah, we can do that. We can probably have it to you quicker than that if you could help us make this process smoother. And if you come in and go, hey, I want some stickers. What do you want? Yeah. Like, you got to know, and we'll help steer you in a correct manner of going, hey, like, I know you're wanting like this over this, but like, you got to give me size and multiple things.
On the customer side of things, just to I guess, critique ourselves, we know, and we talked about this, the future of our business starting in 2019 when we kind of sat down and did this whole idea of a revamp and just really trying to focus on local business. We know that we haven't necessarily created the best environment to let people know what we offer. And we're still struggling with that, but we got so many future changes coming up, and there's not a whole lot we can talk about right now. But there's a lot happening, and we have a lot of things we're going to implement over the next couple months that's really going to change. When you walk in the door, you're really going to know what we do. And not that we're going to have just everything on the walls. It's just we're really trying to create an experience where you walk in and you want stickers, you know what we can offer. Because we get that thing all the time where people are like, oh, well, y'all are the experts. And it's like, I get that, like, in a sense, like,
I hate that word, professional, expert. Like,
don't get me wrong. We know, I feel like we're pretty good at what we do, but by no means would I sit there and say we're an expert. Just like somebody brings in some kind of, I don't know, just like a drum set, and they're like, hey, can you wrap the drum set? Yeah, we can. Well, what do y'all recommend? Like, I want to do this, or you're the expert. No, we're not experts in wrapping drums. Like,
we can rap.
We can rap stuff, but we're not experts in rapping.
I can spit a few bars too, I guess. But
so it's one of those deals where we want to make it a smoother process to make people understand what we offer, but at the same time, I think we'll talk more about like what people should expect coming in here in a sense of, for instance, we've had so many times where people have come in here with a sticker order and say, hey, I want stickers, and we ask them what size, and they're like, oh, well, just, I don't know, like 4 inches. Okay. And we'll print them. We'll get them printed. They come back in, they're like, man, these are too big. And we're like, well, like you said 4 inches, and well, I thought 4 inches would be like the size of my phone. And I'm like, no, if you wanted a sticker for your phone, that's where we can become the experts and say, okay, that's going to be a 2-inch sticker. Like, so it's one of those deals where we have to learn too. We have a lot to learn, but I think as people come in here, you'd be surprised at how many people come in here and just are clueless about what they need. And then it's like, hey, well, why is my product not done yet? Well, you haven't told us what you wanted. I needed it yesterday. Well, we can't print anything until you let
I
us.
don't print until there's an approval on it.
We can't. Here's our thing. The materials we use, and I will go and say this because we are, compared to most shops around here that are somewhat similar type businesses to us, we do not use cheap products. Every vinyl we print on, we could use we could literally use a vinyl that's half the cost, and most of you would never have no clue about it. But for us, it's that whole idea that this is going to be something that's going to last forever. It's going to look good. People are going to appreciate it. Not that the cheaper stuff wouldn't work.
The only reason I would want them to come back is to order more, not to come back to have a problem or an issue. And that's the way we've always looked at it. Of we only want you to come back because you need more.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not because of problems. And I've seen that a lot. And this is fading, and this is this, and then blah blah blah, and the list can go on. But we don't want that. Like honestly, I don't want to have to hear from you unless it's you need more, and it's positivity and constant continuation. I mean,
because I want people to walk in and truly like get that whole feeling that, and we've talked about this a lot, that we care about what you're ordering. Like we truly care, and that's what we want. That we want people to walk in and be like, oh, even if it is a real estate sign or something that costs $40, we truly do care. Because one thing, and I don't know the Bible verse at this point, but I just was listening to a podcast yesterday, and I'm going to completely blow this one up probably, but it talked about, the podcast was talking about just like the small things and how small things matter. And I'll have to maybe link it in the down below, but I think it's Ephesians something, but it talks about like the small beginnings of the small things matter. And for us, like, it really does. There's so many times where people come in here and be like, yeah, I know this order doesn't really mean anything to y'all. No, it really does. Like,
it does.
Don't get me wrong. We love the big orders, but we also love taking care of anybody. I mean, to me, again, we go back to what we're doing with this podcast. Yeah. It's about community. It's about, at the end of the day, if I see that same guy that I printed a $40 order for versus somebody that just came in for a $3,000 order, I want the same response.
Yeah.
I want both of them to be just as happy and you know.
It was like we discussed this the other day. I guess it was beginning of last week. We had some coloring issues with a print, and we, instead of just printing it, I printed out about 5 or 6 samples on one sheet. I ate the cost of that little bit of sample, but it was to take this to them and go, hey, which of these color choices is what you're wanting? And they selected it. We discussed it, what we could change about it, went through the whole steps of it. I took that extra step beyond just printing it that changed, to me, like, if I was the customer in that point, like, I feel like I would have been like super pleased with that. And I mean, actually the customers they were very thankful for that. Hey, thank you for doing this, like, to let us kind of see it. But that's the point of all that. I mean,
yeah, I mean, I don't even, before, we just recently in the past like 6 months really got like a nice financial software, like something similar to QuickBooks. And I don't even, I mean, in a sense, it's fine because we've made it this far. But I would love to know how much money we've lost just on like doing those things like that, which is fine. Like, I want it to be that way. Like, I wanted to take that step above and beyond. But, that's where it gets a little frustrating, is when sometimes you just feel a little unappreciated, and I think that's just part of business, and we understand that. But, ultimately, we're not trying to sit here and just bicker back and forth about why this. Like, we know it's a 50-50. Like I said, we have a lot of changes that we are making personally.
Such as simple as
doing
having the shirts in here now.
And that's something we've never done. And, man, we've done that in the past 2 months that we've had those up. So many people have come in and, like,
it has made the shirt process
so
of
much easier.
People selecting what they wanted easier. And that's something we decided to do to say, hey, what if we had this in here? Would this help? And well, it surely couldn't hurt.
No, and it's been great,
and it really has helped.
There's a lot more ideas like that, and obviously much bigger ideas. And again, that'll be for another future, behind the print. We're
not trying to make this one long and drawn out. And
so I guess what something I would like is if you do end up listening to this whole thing and again, we do appreciate all the support we've had on the past podcasts and the videos.
Yeah.
I think we have 4 up right now. This will be number 5 total. We really, man, it's really kind of been way bigger than we expected. I mean, I think Tommy Johnson's video is over 2,000 now. Or I know the Pickled Okra one
The Pickled Okra's over 2,000, and all the other podcasts are
all over
roughly
1,000.
1,000.
Yeah, so we really appreciate that. We're doing our best to get those on iTunes and Android. I don't know what the Android one is. I guess it's Google. I don't know. We're trying to get it on all the
Google
different
Play,
platforms.
yeah,
Yeah, Google Play. Yeah. So be looking forward to that. It just takes a little time to get that sent over to everywhere. And we're trying to get, we don't want to do it too early when we only have one podcast. So we're trying to get into it a little bit. Yeah, I mean, lastly, I would say, just let us know what you want to hear about. Even on these podcasts, if you want to know more about what kind of shirt you need, like ask us. Just shoot us a comment, a message, whatever. And
we could do a whole podcast about explaining the differences
yeah,
of the shirt.
and we will, and we'll do a video and even show like the fitment and stuff of what each shirt fits on somebody, and really go through like all that in detail.
We can do one about why comfort colors are overrated.
That is true. We might hurt some feelings here. I don't want to hurt too many feelings, so we need to be careful. We actually just got done printing about 200 comfort colors. I would say lastly, just kind of touching base back on that, if you know anyone you would like to hear from that you would want to be on the podcast, if you have any ideas that you want to see us do as far as like the Pickled Okra, we're not just doing food reviews. So if you have something crazy, we have some really cool ones coming up. We're just, again, it's time. Some of those videos take a lot more time than podcast, so it takes time to plan. And the Pickled Okra video had I want to say I probably have at least 20 hours total in that thing, but between filming and editing, so it takes a lot of our time. And all this is done for free. We don't ask for anything other than if we go to like a restaurant, look, just provide the food and some drinks, and that's all we ask.
Just for the video.
Yeah, just for the video. We're not really asking for much. So again, if you know anybody, know any ideas, the crazier sometimes the better.
Send them our way. Shoot us a message. We'll even look into it ourselves. That's
for sure.
The whole purpose of it and the whole route behind it.
And obviously we can't hit everybody because we do have a job, business to run. So
we still want to keep giving you good turnarounds and good prints, and we don't want to lose what we're doing in here. But
so
we definitely want to try to bring in more though.
Yeah, so be looking forward to more behind the prints, and we will end this for episode 1, and we'll see you, like I said, at least once a month, maybe more.
Is this considered episode 4 or
no? Well, this is episode. We're trying to do
1 of behind the print.
Just to sum it up real quick, so there's multiple series going on. So I know it sounds confusing, and it'll get, as we do more videos and stuff, it'll be better. So we have the En Route podcast, which is just a podcast, and it's videoed, but it's a podcast. It's where we're going to bring guests on. We now have Behind the Print, which is going to be basically me and Gator going behind the scenes of 7.5 Promotions. And then we have the video review series, which we really don't have a name for that yet, but more or less we're just going to go around, do different things such as eating foods and trying out different unique places, behind the scenes of other businesses, really just diving in.
Tours of places.
Yeah, tours of places, just showing light on things that might be unique in Central Georgia. And that's kind of that series. And then another little thing we're going to be doing probably at some point is going to be like these little 1-minute Mondays or something like that. Just a quick little videos that are going to pop up probably on Mondays where we just talk about something small, whether it be just something that happened in the community, just quick little update videos. And so more or less there'll be about 4 different sections, but as it gets bigger, it'll be a little bit easier and we can kind of organize it better. Just to let people know about that, because it kind of may look like we don't really understand what you are doing. And we are
doing a little bit of
releasing
everything
every Thursday at 11.
Thursday is at 11.
That is 11 a.m., not p.m.
I'd be asleep by then.
So 11 a.m. we release the bigger videos and the podcast. So just be checking us out.
Yeah,
like us on everything. We appreciate all the support.
We post it up on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube.
Yeah,
they're
it's everywhere.
We try every social media platform where we're trying, except Twitter.
We don't tweet.
I don't really tweet.
All right, but that's going to be it for this episode. Thanks again. We still have more koozies, so if you want one, come by. We're going to be doing some giveaways and stuff here soon, so even bigger than koozie. So just be looking out for that as well. Anyways, thanks again, guys. We will see you back next Thursday.
See you.
So.